The Rams solved their biggest free agency problem before free agency begins. Trevor Bauer is going to pitch against the Dodgers. That's a little awkward. And Russell Westbrook might be available for the Clippers before the playoffs. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. And it is March 8th, 2024. By the time you get this clip, I'm going to be on a plane, heading back to work over in St. Loser, Missouri. And misery is the key word, but we always start off our day with a bright spot, and that's talking LA sports. If you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that and let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means, comment. I look forward to hearing from you guys. So before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Pretty decent night for the Angelenos. Starting off at Crypto.com Arena, Kevin Fiala had this terrific effort in the overtime period, scored a goal to lift the Kings to a 4-3 victory over the Senators. The Kings now move up to third place in the division, with today being NHL trade deadline day. Meanwhile, fifth-ranked Arizona, very workmanlike performance. They defeated UCLA 88-65. Lazar Stefanovic scored 20 points for the Bruins. UCLA is 2 games under 500 with 1 game left before the Pac-12 tournament. Meanwhile, as well, USC, they wound up taking out Arizona State 81-73. Boogie Ellis scored 28 points. Today, Milwaukee takes on the Lakers at 7. LeBron James says he should be able to play tonight. So let's get to the news. Kevin Dotson is easily the biggest target amongst all of the potential Rams free agents. But he's no longer a target, and he's no longer going to be a free agent. He is going to stay with the Rams. Look, the Rams had tens of millions in available cap space, so they dropped a 3-year, $48 million contract on their right guard. This move was about as close to a no-brainer as it gets, because in the span of months, he went from a nobody to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And all of a sudden, with Los Angeles, becomes the most effective interior offensive lineman in the NFL, according to the ratings from Pro Football Focus. And how did the Rams manage that? Were they that brilliant? Not necessarily, although I'm sure they had some input. They listened to Kevin Dotson, who wanted to play on the right side of the offensive line. Pittsburgh wanted Dotson to play on the left. The Rams said, okay, we already have a left guard. Go to the right. Bingo! The Rams rebuilt their offensive line last year from zone blocking into gap power schemes, and Dotson fit like a glove. You could easily argue that the offensive line was what boosted the Rams to their surprise playoff run last year. It's the offensive line that kept Matthew Stafford on the field. It's the offensive line that enabled Kyren Williams to gain his first 1,000-yard rushing season. And by the way, the Steelers continue to goof. They are currently in need of at least 2 starters on their offensive line for next year. Now, I will grant you, Dotson didn't exactly test the market. You can't do that until Monday. But the Rams solve arguably their biggest problem before the free agency period begins. We do have other Rams notes to get to, by the way. You might have noticed online every so often somebody will pipe up with a rumor about, hey, what if Aaron Donald decides to retire? Now, I do not believe for a moment that Aaron Donald is going to retire. Let's get that out of the way right now. There hasn't been a single peep out of Aaron Donald about retiring, right? He said at the end of the season that he was committed to playing in 2024, and until we hear something else, there's no reason to believe otherwise. Besides, if Aaron Donald plays next year, he's going to get about $35 million. So there's that. Now, having said that, if Donald does retire and he leaves $35 million on the table for the Rams, that would absolutely impact the Rams offseason. But I don't think it's happening. Meanwhile, in other news for the Rams, General Manager Les Snead told The Athletic the Rams are talking with potential free agent center Coleman Shelton. Sources indicated to The Athletic that the Rams are also trying to restructure the contract for reserve offensive lineman Joe Noteboom to give them more salary cap space instead of just outright cutting him. Also, preliminary talks have begun on an extension for inside linebacker Ernest Jones and defensive backers, still dealing with the cold meds. Defensive backs Akello Witherspoon, Jordan Fuller, and John Johnson III will all be allowed to see what they can get in the free agent market. Rams president Kevin Dotson will now also lead 4 other sports teams, all in Denver. If you recall, the Rams were owned by Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke basically owns like 95% of Colorado, okay? So Dotson is not exactly going to have to reinvent the wheel for some of these teams. He's certainly not going to have to do it for the Nuggets or the Avalanche. But good luck trying to help people there remember that the Colorado Rapids and MLS actually exists. So that might be an issue. There are certain people that you would never want to see at the front door of your house, right? Dudes who slept with my second ex-wife. I don't want to see you at the door of my house. I don't care if you tell me that you've been saved and you want me to go to your church. I don't care. Don't want to see you at my house. I bring that up because Trevor Bauer, a year after being released by the Dodgers as a result of a series of sexual accusations that never went to trial, is scheduled to pitch Sunday against his former organization. That's thorny. Now you might wonder how the hell that happened. Here's how. Bauer has joined a traveling team called the Asian Breeze. The Asian Breeze, which is really a delightful name if you think about it, the Asian Breeze. It's kind of like asking NFL teams if they want to start off, their preseason playing a travel team called the Lebanon Strawberry Shortcakes or something like that. I don't know. The Breeze will face Dodgers minor leaguers, though, to be clear. They'll face Dodger minor leaguers at Camelback Ranch. Look, I don't think Bauer is trying to stick it to his former team per se. He simply has been adamant about wanting to show as many as major league teams as possible that he could still pitch. And this is simply the latest step. It's an awkward looking step, but it's a step nonetheless. Even Dave Roberts was like, no comment on that one. No way. And I don't blame him, because I would rather play truth or dare at gunpoint than to work for the Dodgers front office and have to answer about Trevor Bauer. What can you do? If you are wondering why I'm not providing daily Dodgers spring training updates, it's because most of what you read is extremely optimistic. And we want to deal with reality here at Faithful Angelenos. You have to balance in the good with the bad. So, with that in mind, Gavin Lux has dealt us a big, steamy, rancid dose of reality on a paper plate. The LA Times is reporting that Roberts has not committed to starting Lux at shortstop on opening day. If Lux were re-injured, that would be pretty bad. But it's not injury prone. It could be worse because Lux struggled on defense before and he's still struggling. When asked, Roberts straight up said about Lux starting at the beginning of the year, quote, I don't know. Obviously, performance is paramount at this level and for a team vying to win a championship, unquote. Now, Roberts did say he thought Lux was trying to be too fine with his throws as opposed to just letting it rip from shortstop. Translation, he's not hitting Freddie Freeman's mitt at first base enough. Emmett Sheehan, who played a major role in keeping the Dodgers rotation afloat last year, while the rest of the rotation, pretty much everybody was getting surgery, has started a throwing program as he rehabs from his own bout of shoulder soreness. He was shut down for a week. Now, Roberts said it was nothing alarming and that Sheehan should be ready for opening day. And that may be true. The thing is, he was in the running to be a fifth starter. If you are not on the field, your bid to become a starter takes a hit. Doesn't help his cause at all. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski said surgery to Russell Westbrook's left hand was successful, and the Clippers expect the former MVP to be back in time for the playoffs. Westbrook will be evaluated on a week-to-week basis. Could we guess? Hard to say. But one thing we do know is that in 2014, Westbrook broke his right hand. He returned to action in 27 days. Now, I will grant you, we were all 10 years younger back then, and most of us know our bodies don't exactly recover after a decade. So, Father Time is a thing, despite all the ads with LeBron James, what that'll tell you. The UCLA football team has added 2 assistants to the coaching staff. Both have experience coaching in the NFL. Ted White will coach quarterbacks. He last coached in the NFL with the Houston Texans. He's also coached in the XFL. He's served as offensive coordinator for Grambling. The Bruins had to shuffle their staff in order to get White. It was only 2 months ago when Chip Kelly hired Billy Fessler to that gig. The belief is that Fessler is not getting fired, that he's going to stay on the staff, albeit in a different role. Meanwhile, Eric Frazier comes in from the Tennessee Titans and will work as the wide receivers coach. Former Chargers fullback Xander Horvath has signed with the New Orleans Saints. To which, okay, he was useful. He might be missed. We just don't know yet because we don't know exactly what the offense with Jim Harbaugh is going to look like. So there's that. I do not believe people should put much faith in mock drafts. It's scuttlebutt, right? It's guesswork. The scribe doesn't know every front office tendency, and then people, the other scribes, they come in and they start creating fake trades to fit a narrative when they create a mock draft. So mock drafts are pretty much trash. You might be better served at looking at the so-called big boards to find out where your favorite player might rank, might slide in. So, with that in mind, CBSSports.com released a big board of NBA prospects and said that USC guard Isaiah Collier has been dropped all the way to the 12th spot, all the way to 12th. At the beginning of the season, there were places that had Collier listed number 1. Now, as for CBS, they say Collier, in terms of individual production, he's been outstanding. He makes plays, he gets to the rim, but the Trojans have not been lifted with him. Remember, we talked earlier about UCLA being sub 500. The Trojans are way down further than they are. And in addition to that, Collier has trouble on the defensive end, particularly fighting through screens. They believe that even though they have him ranked 12th, that he still could be a top 10 pick, by the way. The Kings have lost forward Jarrett Anderson-Dolan to the Nashville Predators. Anderson-Dolan was placed on waivers on Thursday, along with defenseman Jacob Mauvier. LA did re-sign the defenseman, which made you wonder about Anderson-Dolan's future because you didn't hear anything about him. The bottom line is this. Anderson-Dolan has been bouncing between LA and Ontario for years. He never stuck with the big club. In baseball parlance, he would be considered a quadruple A player. The guy who's too good for AAA and not good enough for the show. Maybe he fits better with the Predators. We'll simply have to wait and see. But honestly, we're probably going to be more focused on the NHL trade deadline and if the Kings can do anything with that. But you let me know what you think of the comments thread. Are you optimistic about the Rams with their start to the offseason? Are you a little weirded out by Trevor Bauer showing up at the Dodgers' doorstep? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Can Corte El Queso production. Take care.